Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 3rd. I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard taking a look at the severe weather risk we have across portions of the central U.S. today, primarily across portions of Kansas and Missouri. We've got a slight risk here from central and eastern Kansas into western portions of Missouri in yellow, and then that darker green area that is that level 1 marginal risk that surrounds that from western portions of Kansas and really extends into west central portions of Illinois. And as I click through the individual hazards here, the tornado risk, low risk for a couple of tornadoes across primarily central and eastern Kansas. And then we've got that risk for hail extending from central Kansas into far west central Illinois. We do have a risk for some significant hail, some damaging hail, 2 inches or larger in diameter. And then we've got that risk for some isolated severe wind gusts over 60 miles per hour across that same area from central eastern Kansas into portions of Missouri and far west central areas in Illinois. Now, as we take a look at the satellite picture here, the sun just coming up here, again on Wednesday, September 3rd, we've got this big upper level low spinning kind of over portions of Manitoba, Ontario, kind of dropping southeast slowly toward the Great Lakes region. Some snow on the north side of this storm system, and then we've got this cold front that extends from the low, again, through the Great Lakes into portions of the Midwest and the Central Plains. And it's along this cold front that's bringing another shot of cooler, drier air into the Corn Belt. We're going to look for those scattered showers and storms to develop. And that risk for showers and storms extends from the Great Lakes, portions of Michigan, all the way through central Illinois into Missouri and Kansas. But it's here in Missouri and Kansas where we have deeper moisture, a little bit more instability, and that is what brings that higher risk for a couple of those storms, again, producing some strong winds, some large hail, and maybe a tornado or two across this area. But it's this front we'll expect those scattered showers and storms to develop along from Michigan into Illinois, Indiana, and eventually Missouri and Kansas through the day today, really beginning mid-afternoon into the late afternoon, evening, and early overnight hours. I would say the severe weather risk across this area, Kansas, far west central Illinois, probably peaks from 5 p.m. on Wednesday evening and then begins to fade and taper off by about midnight, certainly into the early morning hours on Thursday, September 4th. Now what I want to do is jump over to the new AgWX website here, ag-wx.com is where you can find all of this. I want to kind of show you how you can explore the data for today's forecast on your own. If you want to take a look at how things look here later on in the day, if you again go to ag-wx.com, you'll get this website. It'll start out here. This is what it looks like on a desktop, but it does transfer over well to a mobile device as well. But you take a look at the radar. I just showed you the satellite. You can see the counterclockwise swirl of this area of low pressure with that cold front extending through the Great Lakes into the Midwest and Central Plains. And again, this is where we'll look for those stronger storms to start to fire up during the afternoon and evening hours. But as I mentioned, showers and thunderstorms of the non-severe variety possible here from Michigan into Illinois and Indiana, as well as we go through the later part of the day. Let's jump over to the weather models, though, and let's start to go through it. And we're going to use the HRRR for this. This is the High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model. This provides really high resolution in hour-by-hour data, and it updates multiple times throughout the day. So it's high-resolution data, and it's always relatively fresh compared to some of our other data. So it's one of our more popular weather models to look at when we're talking about the risk for severe weather, and I think that I'll join the north central sector here is what we'll look at. So this is the simulated radar. So this is the HRRR telling us what it expects the radar to look like as we progress through the day. And so I'm going to jump up to about present, which would be about 9 o'clock central here. Again, I showed you the satellite and the radar that really looked pretty similar here. So the model doing a good job of displaying what's going on right now as we get started on Wednesday morning. And as I mentioned, we progress through the late morning hours into the early afternoon. This is noon, getting into 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We've got these showers and thunderstorms ongoing from Michigan into portions of Illinois, maybe far northern Indiana. At the same time, we'll be beginning to destabilize across central Kansas, eastern Kansas, into Missouri, and maybe far western portions of Illinois. And so this is where we get just a little bit of instability. It's a little bit more humid, a little bit warmer here with that sunshine shining through the late morning, the early afternoon hours. And that's when we start to see those more intense showers and thunderstorms developing. Again, this is showing 8 p.m. I'll show you the high-resolution NAM model, which has, the same story, but some slight differences in the timing here. But you're kind of seeing the evolution here. We'll get some rain, some light rain. I've been talking with the folks here at the Innovation Farm. We've got an event going on the next couple of days here, and it's been so dry lately. Just trying to get some moisture here to kind of keep the dust from blowing around in the parking lot and the fields. So that's about what this amounts to. From Michigan into Illinois and Indiana, maybe a rumble of thunder somewhere in here, but we're talking about a couple hour window here just for some scattered light showers and thunderstorms. But it's further to the west, across Kansas and Missouri, where we get a little bit more here in the way of ingredients to get some more intense thunderstorms going. Again, not talking about a severe weather outbreak, but certainly the potential that a couple of these storms during the evening and early overnight hours, primarily these ones, you see that are a little more intense. Not impossible we could get an isolated supercell thunderstorm here or two going that could maybe have that low potential for a tornado. Maybe some hail over 2 inches in diameter, which is certainly enough to cause damage to crops and to vehicles and to infrastructure out there. And then a possibility of some of these, isolated 60 mile per hour wind gusts as well. So that is the HRRR. Let's jump over. Let's change the model here, and let's jump to the 3-kilometer NAM. We're going to keep it on the north central U.S. We'll also keep it with the simulated radar reflectivity here. We'll let this kind of load, and we'll do the same thing. We'll get it loaded out here to where we are right now, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock central, and then we'll look at how this model evolves things over time. The loading down here not reflective of the website loading speed. I've got a bad connection right now with the data, so we'll let this load just a little bit. We'll run it out to about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Here's the area of low pressure, the cold front extending across the Great Lakes into the Midwest and the Central Plains. I've showed you this in multiple different ways now, so we've got a good agreement between what's going on now on the satellite and the radar and our two high resolution weather models. And as I take this out into the midday, this is noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you see the same thing. Midday, we've got showers and storms extending from Michigan into Illinois, parts of Iowa and northern Missouri. And then it's as we get into the late afternoon, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, you see this second round, this more intense round that develops from central and eastern Kansas into central portions of Missouri. Again, far west central Illinois, maybe a strong storm in this area as well. And really, I think the window is focused between probably 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. right in here. Is kind of where I would expect to see that shower and thunderstorm activity being most numerous. And if I jump over to winds, this will show us our wind barbs here. You'll see these strong winds out of the southwest in advance of this cold front, and then the winds coming in out of the north along the cold front. You'll see kind of that's the boundary where these showers and storms develop. So here's the early morning hours. We'll get on the other side of sunrise here into midday, and we start to get those winds turning just a little bit more blustery. And as I just kind of show you here, let's lock it in early this evening, about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You can kind of see this boundary here. That's your front. So again, wind's not all that strong, and that's typical of a late summer, early fall area of low pressure where the center of low pressure is way up here north of the Great Lakes. So it's not as if we have really strong southwesterly winds or southerly flow out in advance of this storm system. And again, that's why we're just talking about a marginal to a slight risk for severe weather here. We've got some instability, we got some moisture, we have a little bit of wind shear. It's possible a couple storms here could become a little rowdy during the late afternoon, early evening, and early overnight hours, that 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. window, give or take an hour there. But you see the northerly winds bringing in that cooler, drier air. So it's a cold front separating a warmer and humid air mass from a cooler and drier air mass with just a little bit of convergence along it that brings that chance for, again, a couple of strong storms producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. Some steep mid-level lapse rates, that is what gives us that chance for some significant hail, 2 inches in diameter or larger during that time frame, and then that opportunity for, again, maybe a strong storm or two producing a weak tornado across central into eastern Kansas during that 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. time frame. How much we're talking about in precipitation amounts. I talked about, the idea that this could wet the top layer of soil, but it's not a, hours long or multi-day rain event here that's going to bust the dry pattern that we've been experiencing in a lot of these areas. It's simply enough to kind of wet the top layer of the soil. So this is what we've got all the way through 7 a.m. on Thursday, September 4th. Again, you see where the more intense storms, blow up here across central and eastern Kansas into western Missouri. Where the stronger storms go, certainly the opportunity to get some heavier rainfall up to maybe an inch or locally higher. But from Michigan into Indiana, Illinois, and much of Missouri and Iowa, we're talking about scattered showers, maybe an embedded thunderstorm or two along that front as it sweeps through. So your timing may vary slightly from region to region, but as the front moves through these areas here, east of the severe weather risk zone, when the front moves through, you've got maybe 2 to 3 hours there where you got some light to moderate rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms moving through the area. So not a significant rain event, but I did want to kind of invite you to check out the new AgWX website here and click around, look at the latest models as these update, throughout the day and see how the timing changes, focus in on your area there. And then while you're doing it, you can go through and kind of check in some of the more localized weather data that we've got here, some of your historical weather data as well. So you can kind of check in on, what areas have been getting rain over the last 10 to 14 days. I know that portions of Kansas have seen significant rainfall just within the last 10 days. So kind of look in on your own area. You can check this out region by region. And you can also look at this, in terms of your own kind of time series. So this is going to try and pull up my local data here for 61802 is the zip code that I'll use. Like I mentioned, I've just got a bad connection here. This is not reflective of how the website will work on your own device. But plug in your location, check out the weather models on your own, check out your year-to-date precipitation here, see how badly you need this to be an overachieving rain event here. Again, here in Champaign County, Illinois, we are chasing a pretty significant deficit right now as we head through the early part of September, and it's really begun to stack up here as we've gone through the end of July, through much of August, and into early September. So ag-wx.com, explore what's going on right now, watch the latest videos here from Eric and Matt, and then explore the severe weather setup that we've got here today. Again, it's been pretty quiet, but could have some unruly thunderstorms across portions of central and eastern Kansas, a swath of Missouri, and then maybe far west central Illinois as we head through the late afternoon into the evening and early overnight hours here on Wednesday, September 3rd.